Hey there, everyone. Thanks again for tuning into Sin's Workshop. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Alright, so today we're going to be talking about Rebel Rose by Emma Thorold. Hope I'm pronouncing the last name correctly. I'm probably not, but pardon-moi. Anyway, this is the first in a new series. What it does is it takes place after Disney's. It's not a retelling. It's Disney's Beauty and the Beast. What happens after they're happily ever after. And what it does, what the author has decided to do here is she takes our fairy tales and she puts them into the historical context. Now, Beauty and the Beast, which was originally published in 1740, roughly 40 years before the French Revolution. But I think, at that point, you were hearing mutterings of discontent. So maybe not as much. I think what really offset it was the American Revolution and gaining their independence. I really think that's what solidified the French wanting to become a democracy, or at least end the monarchy. But I think it was really interesting to see this story take place after they're happily ever after. Because if you were someone like me, and the historical context, when the story takes place, I should say, that Belle and her beast probably didn't live happily ever after, unfortunately. And it's a kind of sad, but what the author has done is she gives us closure. She has given us closure, so now we know what happened to Beauty and her Beast. And I'm a huge Beauty and the Beast fan, so please don't pick this up thinking it's going to be retelling. It's not. I went online, I saw a lot of reviews that they were unhappy because they thought it was going to be retelling. So I'm warning you now, it is not a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. It picks up right after Belle's wedding to the Beast. So right after that is when this story picks up. So it follows Leo and Belle, and they are making their way to Paris. I think this story more follows along the lines of the live action fairy tale, just because that one filled in a lot of whole plotline holes. Whereas I love the animated version. Don't get me wrong, that one's still like my ultimate favorite. But the live action one did fill in some holes and some gaps regarding time and everything. So Leo's, from Avignon. It's a principality of France, and everyone is finally, they're remembering that, oh yeah, that you exist. So they're remembering that he exists, and it looks bad on him. It looks like he's been neglecting his duties for about 10 years when he hasn't. He was cursed. He was erased. That it is his fault, yes. But it's also not his fault. And the reason being is because, yes, he was cursed through his own selfishness. So it's a lot of him trying to re-navigate his way into this world. This is not a Paris that he was familiar with, and it's definitely not Paris that Belle is familiar with as well. So they're both navigating revolutionary France. They're both trying to find their way into France, and it's not really working out for them. But I do love this historical context. I do think it is a brilliant direction to take the story, to take what we know from Disney's interpretation of Beauty and the Beast, and to really put it into history. because now we have like a scope of how we're supposed to view the story and view these characters. And I think it's really cool to see the revolution take place through Belle's eyes, because this is still the Belle we know and love, but she's a little lost. She's no longer a commoner. She's not exactly a princess. She doesn't feel like a princess, but she doesn't feel like a commoner either. She's stuck in between. She doesn't really know how she's supposed to navigate this life. And throughout the entire narrative, she is rediscovering her strength. She's really rediscovering her voice and her resilience. And she finds herself again. Throughout all this madness, she finds herself. And I think it's really compelling to read Belle and to see her grow outside of the fairy tale. I was really interested in that, and I was really intrigued with that. Sorry, need my coffee. But I think that was really what got me the most. I love French history. I'm a huge fan of French history, so I was already intrigued from the beginning. And I do like how the story begins with the enchantress. You do get to see the enchantress's perspective. And this is supposed to be a first in a series, so she's gonna come back, I'm assuming. Because she calls herself the Queen's Counsel, and the series is called the Queen's Counsel, so I'm assuming she's gonna come back. So I think it was really interesting to see how she played out in this novel. She's not really a villain. She's just, and I don't really think the Enchantress was a villain in Beauty and the Beast, I think she thought she did what was best in order to change someone. I guess tough love is how it equated to. So I never thought she was a villain. Gaston was always the villain for me. And that is what I took away from this story. I really liked it. I thought it was really engaging, and I love the historical context to it, because you get to see the sparks of the revolution. You get to see why they fought this revolution, why they stormed the Bastille, and it's really relevant to today's society, I have to say. It's about the 99% not feeling like their rights are being represented by their government. In this case, they're completely right. In our case in today, I think the middle class and lower class are not being represented as much as they should be. I mean, don't even get me started on the fact that federal minimum wage hasn't risen in years. I live in Florida, and I don't really get paid that much. And the cost of living here is like living in New York. But there's no, you don't get paid like you're living in New York. So, and I'm a full-time manager at a movie theater. You would think that would mean I was making a little, okay, no. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just saying it is relevant. And I'm expressing why it was relevant to me, And I think it's, that's just my story. Just think about all the other voices throughout this entire country who are probably feeling the same way as I do. Like, our rights and our voices are not being heard by the 1%. I think that's what makes the story really relevant, because the French Revolution is relevant, and I feel like it's history repeating itself. The rights of everyone is not being properly represented. there is such a gap in the classes, just like with the French Revolution, and that's why the story is relevant to me as a reader and why I was able to connect to it very well. And I love Belle. I've always been able to connect to Belle as a character because I've always felt like if I were a Disney princess, I would be Belle. I mean, that library, I need that library. No, I really do. I need all the shelves. I've literally got like 2 stacks. So you've got all that whole thing right there. That's it's filled with books. I've got another one right here filled with books. I got books on top of this thing. I've got books over there. I've got books in my closet. I've got 3 6-shelf bookcases, 2 double door, 1 single door, filled. Just filled. I've got 2 stacks of books on my dresser right here. I have books everywhere, so I need that library. And don't think I don't donate books. I do to the library. The ones that didn't really have a personal connection to me, I do donate them to the library. But I digress. I've always felt like I connected to Belle. So I like seeing the revolution and through her eyes. I really do think it gives us a nice perspective on the events. And she has a lot of good lines in there, including one about, I'd pull it up, but it's on my phone. They are discussing the whole equality, and Belle says, education for too long has been reserved for the privileged class. That's a great line. I think, once again, really relevant to readers right now. I think this is a really relevant book, and I think it's great to see a mature version of Belle outside of the Disney fairy tale, and that's what I liked about it. And I do like how we get to see Lumiere and Cogsworth and Mrs. Potts. They're all there. Emma did not lose the charm and magic from the Disney fairy tale. But what she did was she gave it more depth. And I think that should be respected. She did give more maturity to the fairy tale, more depth. She has evolved the story beyond Disney's fairy tale, and I really respect that. And I think she did a really good job doing that. So this was Rebel Rose, the first in a whole new series. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see what the next book is going to be about. So once again, Rebel Rose, I'm going to go ahead and give it 4 stars. It didn't completely blow me away, but I did like it nonetheless. I loved it, actually. So Rebel Rose, 4 stars. I will include a link to purchase the book on bookshop.org in the description below. If money's tight, I get it. Please check out the book from your local library. Libraries are a great resource for your community. And I hope you will all continue to support me by liking this video and sharing it with all your book-loving friends. Happy reading!